Hey guys, how's it going? I've been talking about it for a while, so I figure it's finally time that I make my video talking about my philosophy surrounding knives that are made overseas. Now, I've never really had a conversation with a person who claimed that they only wanted to buy knives that were made here in America. I've never had anybody ask me, why are you reviewing this knife that's been made overseas? But I wanted to talk about it nonetheless, because I do believe that there are people who are at least claiming that they only want to buy knives that are made in America. And while at first I understood this, the more I think about it, the less it really makes sense to me, because I've never heard anyone take issue with using any other kind of product that wasn't made in a necessarily responsible way. Um, American-made products have a certain number of benefits. You get to support the economy of the country that you're living in. I assume most of my audience is American, and definitely all of the people who are claiming that they only want to buy American products, probably from America. So the American-made products can stimulate the American economy, and you're ensured that the people who are producing these products are given the full benefits that we've decided that people deserve. They're made under American labor laws, and those workers are being treated relatively well. And I think people believe that there's sort of a quality assurance along with making a knife in America. I definitely don't think that's the case anymore, because I own some knives that are made in Taiwan and Japan and China that are all excellent knives. So I think it's got more to do with whether a brand is responsible, whether a company is practicing their business practice responsibly. And I think if they are, they can make some great knives overseas. Spyderco's knives that are made overseas are excellent knives. And so what I've got here in front of you guys is the Zombie Killer Famine Tonto, made by K-Bar. And when I purchased this knife around about a year ago, it was produced overseas. The big blade, the Tonto, was made in Taiwan, and the smaller blade, the Archeron, was made in China. And at that time, you could get this whole package with the little holster sheath system. You could get the whole thing on eBay for $45. And I thought that was a good price point for this thing. It's SK5, and it's a novelty item. These are plastic handles. I don't know what material they are other than that. I didn't review this knife at the time that I got it, because that's all it was, as far as I was concerned, is just a novelty item. I just bought it for fun. I carried it when we watched Walking Dead, and I didn't really have any designs to use this thing as a tactical knife. I think anyone who bought it intending to use it for that was kind of misguided. But for $40, I could basically recommend it as just what it was for me, just this fun little thing to add to your collection. Now, they moved the production of this thing over to America, and the price nearly tripled. It went from around $40 to $115. And I think that really takes the knife out of its strength as a novelty item. I think it puts it into a price point where anyone who's willing to spend $115 on a knife has a much higher probability of being a knife enthusiast, therefore knowing the knife market, knowing that they shouldn't be spending this much money on basically what amounts to a novelty item. And so I think what probably happened, again, I haven't seen K-Bar's sales figures, and I don't know if I would have access to anything like that, but I'd be willing to bet that when they moved the production of this thing over to America, that they saw a big drop in sales because the price went up so much. I think we can all agree that that's a basically negative thing. I mean, that means that less people got to enjoy the knife. That means that K-Bar's profits suffered, and there's a whole list of bad things that could go along with that. So yeah, a basically negative thing happened when they moved the production over from Taiwan and China to America. And as I said, I could definitely see why supporting the American economy with your knife buying purchases might be something that you would want, but I wouldn't necessarily have the courage to claim that I was only going to buy American-made knives. When I'm supporting products that aren't really made in a responsible way, that I don't agree with ideologically, really what it gets down to is with the products that I buy, I'm relatively pragmatic. If the system works, I'm willing to buy it, whether that's supporting something that's in my home state, in my home country, people that I've gone and talked to and I enjoy talking to, whether it's that or, supporting somebody that I've never met and somebody that's working in another country. If it works out to a product that I really like, that I enjoy using, chances are I'm going to buy the product. And as it pertains to YouTube, if it's a good quality product, chances are I'm going to review it and review it positively. The country that it's made in really isn't a factor for me, and like I said, I've never talked to anyone who it was a huge factor for. I think most of my audience, at least, are relatively reasonable people, and I think they understand this, that, if the product is good, use the product. I would love to say that I can make that kind of stand and say that I'm only going to support business ventures that I agree with ideologically. But But that's just not where I'm at right now. You know, that would seriously limit the clothing that I could wear. That could pretty much take away me driving an automobile. All of these things that I don't think people necessarily think about, whereas in the knife and gun world, it may be more at the forefront of people's minds of, is it made in America? Is it made in America? Well, I think part of that is probably the economic stimulation thing of wanting to stimulate your own country's economy. Part of it, for me, if I was going to get worked up about it, would be the was it produced responsibly thing. And the sad fact is, if we're being honest with ourselves, most of the stuff that we use is not produced responsibly, and I think it does bad things and limits your horizon. If you're looking at just knives that are made in a responsible way, I think you're limiting yourself away from a whole bunch of really cool products. And as much of a bummer as that is, that's kind of the way I think about it, and I feel like I do want to represent the knife market as best as I can to you guys, and the knife market has a lot of blades that aren't necessarily made responsibly. That's just the way it is. They're still cool blades. They still might suit my audience interests. They still might be the best knife for a member of my audience at a certain point in time. For a certain usage that he's wanting to use, this might be the best thing for them. And I think, especially moving these knives over, definitely a lot of knives that I could see moving over to America and changing the materials up the way they did on this one and making it more expensive, and I could see that being alright. But not this one. I think this was basically just a bad choice, and it leads to me not really being able to recommend the new knife, the one made in America. You know, I wouldn't recommend that somebody goes out and spends $115 on what amounts to a novelty item. Whereas I basically could recommend for somebody to go out and spend $40 on it if they were so inclined. I would be actively trying to talk people out of it if they were telling me that they were going to go buy one of the new ones of these. Maybe it changes a little bit when you're looking at the other parts of the Zombie Killer line. They've got some knives that are a little bit more sensically designed that could make the move more into just users and not necessarily a novelty item. But I still don't think those knives compete price point wise even within the K-Bar lineup, and I think that's a pretty serious problem. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's why you'll see us review products that are made in America, not made in America. It really just gets down to being pragmatic and saying, okay, as much as it irks me to do it, I'm going to support whatever products are the best value. I want to be honest and tell people which products I would buy if it was me. And I just don't have the financial capability to only buy products that I agree with on an ideological level, so I won't impose that limit on myself when it comes to the knife market. That's sort of a bummer, but it's the way it is, and it'll lead to a lot of cool knife reviews around here of knives that are affordable enough that you can pick them up whether you're looking to use them as a user or whether you just want some cheap additions to your collection, some cool knives. You know, we won't impose artificial limitations around here, and I hope you guys understand and enjoy that. If you can do that, if you can say I'm only going to support products that I deal with on an ideological level, that's awesome, more power to you. I think we need more people who have that much wealth to be saying things like that, to be acting in that way. That's just not where I'm at right now. Maybe one day things will change, but that's just the reality of it. And, you know, I love my American-made blades. I love companies that make their knives in America, but there are some knives that are made overseas, and there are some knives that are made by foreign companies that I think are great blades. And I won't shy away from reviewing them and being as honest as I can, and that's the way it'll be. So, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.